Hi everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake. I know I'm not in my normal room. I've decided to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing, which was yesterday, by coming at you in this bunker, seeing how a lot of the backup NASA controls are all in bunkers, just in case they had a fail-safe or whatever breakdown. Once again, welcome to Studio Jake. I'm your host, Jacob Airy. Be sure to find me on Twitter and Instagram at RealJacobAiry. Facebook is author Jacob Airy, and of course, you can find my blog, jacobairy.blog, is JACOBAIRY.blog. And of course, you can find my novel. It's The Seven Royals, All Good Things. You can find that on Amazon and Barnes & Noble's websites. Be sure to give that a read because it's a pretty interesting book. Be sure to like this video, share it out, subscribe to Studio Jake, and don't forget to ring the little bell. That way you get notifications, because YouTube is doing this weird thing where they're curating your subscription feed, and you won't see everything in chronological order. If I'm looking a little haggard, I am just a wee bit haggard. That is because I was up late reading all the updates from Marvel's San Diego Comic-Con, and there was a ton of stuff coming out, and I wanted to talk about that. First, we have to celebrate. Now, I've got my Twitter up because, according to Deadline, Marvel Cinematic Universe, what I consider the finale, Avengers Endgame, it finally defeated James Cameron's pretentious, overhyped remake of Fern Gulley, The Last Rainforest film, James Cameron's Avatar. They announced that it finally, just barely, it kind of wheezed across the finish line, but Avengers Endgame finally defeated Avatar, and I think this is incredible. I am incredibly excited for this because Avengers Endgame, by far and large, is actually a superior movie. It's a great film, and I think the people who are just kind of mad at Disney and Marvel for stuff they're doing and some of their upcoming stuff, they're kind of a little butthurt over this. But really, I think that people will be talking about Avengers Endgame in 20, 30, 40 years. They won't be talking about James Cameron's Avatar. It was overhyped at the time, and also Cameron, he kind of cheated a little bit. Everyone was making a big deal about the in-game re-release, but let's remember, James Cameron released James Cameron released Avatar at least 4 times. I mean, come on, let's be real about this. I mean, he didn't make. It wasn't like he hit as the world's highest-grossing film in one day, or even one weekend, or even 1 month of the film showing. He kept re-releasing it, and in fact, when I can't remember the name of the film, but there was another film coming out, and everyone was pretty sure that it was going to be Avatar, he re-released it as an anniversary special to inflate the numbers, and that's what he does. He did it with Titanic, and he did it with Avatar. He would just keep re-releasing them to inflate the numbers, and then that film would always stay on top. But Avengers Endgame, after a showing, one re-release, and kind of keeping it in the worldwide box office for a little bit longer than you would normally keep a film, they finally succeeded. And I think that's great. I'm a huge MCU fan. I have been a fan since the first Iron Man, and I followed it all the way to Avengers Endgame, which, like I said, is the conclusion of what Kevin Feige, who's the head of Marvel Studios, he refers to it as the Infinity Saga. And my humble opinion is that Avengers Endgame kind of ended the MCU, as we know it. At least it's not going to be the same from here on. Most of the films, they actually had real filmmakers, real writers. Now you could kind of see toward the end that they were kind of pushing for less what people call auteur directors. I actually don't believe those exist. I think that it's just a made-up French word for filmmakers who want to be held, to some sort of fake Hollywood higher standard. But anyway, I really feel like that you could kind of see that sprinkled in, like in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and sometimes in the writing dialogue, how they would do it. But for the most part, most of the MCU was largely contrived and put together in a very real and powerful way, and they created this continuity that didn't exist before the Avengers, before the MCU, and many people have tried to imitate it and have failed. Obviously, DCEU, that's because they hired hacks like Zack Snyder to direct their films, and that was always going to be a mistake. Um, and now it seems like the MCU, with some of the announcements, which I'll talk about in a little bit, looks like they're going to imitate the DCEU's pattern of failure. So anyway, what does this mean? What does Avengers Endgame mean? Are we going to finally get recognized at the box office? Now, the 2018 Oscars, let's be real, Black Panther got nominated, which I'm glad it got nominated. I didn't think it was the best film of the year, but it did get nominated, but I knew it wasn't going to win. You know why? Hollywood hates nerds. But even though that we're the ones who have been supplying the ticket sales specifically for these films, they hate us. They think of us as peasants, and so they gave us the Black Panther nomination just to kind of throw us a bone. But really, honestly, out of all the films, Black Panther was the most well made. And look, I know Lady Gaga actually showed some talent in A Star Is Born, and I know that apparently Bohemian Rhapsody is a good film. That's fine. But really, if you look at all the nominations, what had the most interest out of those lists? It was Black Panther. And really, though, Avengers Infinity War should have been nominated, and it should have won. Unless A Quiet Place got nominated, really in 2018, or excuse me, the 2017 Oscars, really A Quiet Place was the rightful winner of the Best Picture. But for context, I'm just saying, for Avengers Endgame, it should have won. It should have won at the box office. It should have won. It should have won at the Academy, but they intentionally ignored Infinity War, and they're going to do the same with Avengers Endgame. It doesn't matter that it became the highest-grossing film of all time. They're going to lash out at the audience like they do every year at the Academy Awards. They're going to make fun. They're going to try to pull off some of these. Oh no, we like the peasants move, like what they did when Jimmy Kimmel brought Gal Gadot into A Wrinkle in Time. Like they're gonna just see, we like you peasants, we like you. Here, you want some more Gal Gadot? Here's some Gal Gadot. It's all just pretension. Bottom line, end of story. It's them pretending, and because they're wrapped up in their own bubble. They're wrapped up in their own elitist bubble, and we're seeing that a little bit on Twitter. There's sort of a Twitter bubble that forms whenever we talk about this, and there's, like, for instance, I follow a lot of filmmakers, film buffs, film enthusiasts on Twitter, and they're all wrapped up in this discussion of The Lion King. Is it a good film? Is it good CGI? And so on and so forth. My whole thing is, I still want to see the film, because Disney remakes, even though I think it's clear that Disney is, run out of gas as far as creativity is concerned, The Lion King one at least interests me for nothing else than Mufasa is being voiced by James Earl Jones again. And so the rest of the voice cast, they all are unique and interesting. And while I do think they still should have gotten Matthew Broderick for adult Simba, I feel like there is a little bit of this Twitter bubble where people aren't realizing that, hey, audiences are kind of curious about these films. And no amount of commentators saying this or commentators saying that is going to change that. And we're kind of seeing this with Avengers, because we've got people who are just kind of tired of Disney. They're tired of actresses like Brie Larson. And trust me, I'm not on board the Brie Larson derangement syndrome rail ride that a lot of right-wing movie commentators are on. I think she's a fine actress. She's kind of stiff. She's not really good at delivering comedy. Of course, Unicorn Store. I know conservative critics just blasted that film, but it was a good film. It was absurdist. It was funny, but anyway, we kind of get in these bubbles where everyone is just kind of mad at Disney and they're mad at Marvel Comics, and so they let in their anger, they kind of say, "Oh, all these fanboys, they had Avengers Endgame limp across the finish line," and everyone's forgetting. James Cameron's Avatar was incredibly anti-American. And so say what you want to about Avengers Endgame. I'm sure there were fallouts in the film. I didn't necessarily think there were. But let's not remember, Avatar was incredibly anti-American in its tropes. You know, it was probably one of the first like woke films. And everyone makes a big deal about the special effects. They weren't really that good when you think about it. I mean, especially compared to the upcoming Lion King film, which, you know, they do kind of have like a animated feel to them. But let's not forget, people were gawking at CGI around the time of Toy Story and Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the Star Wars prequel film. Everyone were kind of like, whoa, CGI is mind-blowing. It wasn't really until like 10 years later when people started saying, oh, I don't like CGI. Listen, CGI is a good thing. It's a good and useful tool. And we need to get out of these sort of filmmaker bubbles. And listen, you know, one of the things that makes me mad is when people talk about crowd-pleasing film. Well, Avengers Endgame, it was a crowd-pleasing film. So what? All films should crowd please. That's how they make money. So that's kind of a stupid argument to make. So all that said, now, you know, I've been campaigning, I've been endorsing Avengers Endgame and all this. So I want to share with you. I have my Twitter feed. Here are some interesting things that have come up about out of the Marvel San Diego Comic-Con show. So, inspired by the mighty Thor, Natalie Portman will be female Thor in Taika Waititi's Thor: Love and Thunder. So this is the fourth Thor film that's coming out. Sigh. Okay, let's be clear. This is what I'm talking about with whenever I talk about film companies losing touch with their fan base. Female Thor was a failure. They had to correct and put the real Thor back into place because that character was a dismal failure. She was disliked by the fans, and it wasn't that they made Jane Foster worthy to pick a Mjolnir. It was the fact that she became Thor. Everyone wanted the actual Thor. What they should have done is had her get another hammer, get Stormbreaker or Thunderstrike or another hammer, and then she could be partners with Thor. But no, they didn't want to do that. So they gave Thor some random axe, and he became unworthy, and he went on all these ridiculous adventures. And meanwhile, she's fighting with the Avengers. And again, nothing wrong with giving her Asgardian powers, but the fans kind of acted really poorly to that storyline. So now you're going to make a movie that about the story that the fans rejected, and this just goes back. What are these companies not getting about bad-mouthing the fans that pay for their tickets? It makes no sense. So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox about that. So, I'm going to show you. This is a screen capture of some of the other announcements. So I know might be a little backwards for you, but they're going to do Black Widow, and that's actually the one film that I am really excited for. I've been wanting a Black Widow film since Iron Man 2, and they let Red Sparrow steal her origin film. Red Sparrow basically plagiarized Black Widow's origin that she lays out in Age of Ultron. So I'm actually excited for that. Of course, I said Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, Waititi is actually a pretty good filmmaker, so maybe he'll put like a good spin on it. We've kind of seen that in animation where like they'll introduce Miss Marvel, the fans will react poorly to her, but then they'll do a good job in like the animated series. We've been seeing that with Avengers, Black Panther Quest, and prior to that, I believe it was called Ultron Revolution. We've been seeing that, so maybe he'll do good. So for Disney Plus, we also have Hawkeye. Now, the problem with Hawkeye is they're using his logo from a run of the comics that was really terrible. Now, I know they're using this to set up Kate Bishop, who takes Hawkeye's place. It was during all these Marvel Now. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Kate Bishop. My understanding was she's actually a pretty cool character. People just weren't really pleased with her becoming Hawkeye. They're going to do What If, which will be an animated series, but it'll be for adults, and they'll actually have voice actors or they'll have actors from the MCU come back and voice, and they're going to do like what if scenarios. So Falcon and Winter Soldier, which will be a spinoff, they'll be teaming up and going on adventures and whatnot. Loki. Now, my understanding about Loki is, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, but at one point the Avengers they travel back in time to the point of the New York invasion, and they're trying to get the Tesseract. Well, it falls out of its case during all of their interactions, and Loki grabs it and disappears using the Tesseract. So they're going to do like a storyline from that version of Loki, who obviously didn't have a different outcome than Infinity War. WandaVision, which will take place in between Civil War and Infinity War. Now, this one I'm a little excited for. Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. Shang-Chi is a really epic martial arts based superhero. I'm excited for this. He crosses over with Iron Fist a lot, so who knows, maybe we'll see Danny Rand in this. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I am a little excited for this. I thought Doctor Strange, of kind of that slate of solo films, so like Black Panther, Captain Marvel, even Spider-Man Homecoming, Ant-Man, I kind of feel like Doctor Strange's was the best. So I am a little excited about this. Eternals, I'm not excited for the film. I think Eternals will, depending on where they place it, I really feel like the Eternals will be the straw that broke the camel's back for Marvel. This is when people go, okay, we're tired of this. The Infinity Saga is over. Spider-Man Far From Home was good. Black Widow is going to be good, but no. Now, they made a comment that Tessa Thompson, who plays Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok, she's going to be returning for Thor Love and Thunder, and she's going to be the first openly LGBTQ character. Don't care. No one cares. No one. Maybe the people on Tumblr, maybe the people in the mainstream media, people who don't actually pay to go see films, they bootleg it from their friend or they get invites. No one cares about this. And I don't necessarily think that will destroy the movie. It depends on how it's going to be introduced to the audience, but no one cares. One other thing I wanted to mention that I think is going to be of note. So they're going to do a Blade reboot, and Mahershala Ali has, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's the guy from The Green Book. I feel really bad if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly because he's such a good actor. Mahershala Ali, he's going to play Blade. Now, I'm really excited about this. Like I said, he's a fantastic actor. He's really good. I think he'll be a fantastic Blade. Hopefully, they'll find a good director for it. Who knows? Maybe they'll get someone like, someone like Guillermo or Del Toro to come back or something like that. But it's going to be, I think that's going to be good. Like I said, as long as they find a good director. Now, one thing about this, though, is Ali actually played a villain, played Cottonmouth in Luke Cage Season 1. Now, the MCU has always had this rule that they don't double cast for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, now this is interesting to me because now they did accidentally, because her name, but in Captain America Civil War, there's an angry mother who confronts Tony Stark. She's played by the same actress who plays Sweet Mama Brown in Luke Cage Season 1 and I think 2. And That was clearly an accident. They did their best to kind of make her look different in Civil War. Um, but this is an outright like defiance of this rule that they're doing the double casting. Recasting, they're fine with. They've been doing that for years, but the double casting, that's a repeat casting, whatever you want to call it. That is like a hardcore rule that they've had. We don't double cast, but here they are doing this, and I really think this is a sign that we're going to find out soon that the Netflix Marvel universe is its own thing, because they keep referring to the incident, and they'll have like, and at one point you in the Defenders, I think you can see the Avengers Tower in the background, but I think you're going to find out that um, that, and also they released posters with the characters' faces and saying "Avenge the Fallen." I believe Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, they were all disappeared from Thanos' snap from Avengers Infinity War. So I really feel like this is going to be a sea change, that we're going to find out soon that the Netflix shows are no longer considered canon. I think that because John Bernthal as the Punisher and what's his name, the actor who plays Daredevil, they have been so well received by the fans. I have a feeling that they'll get their own movie spinoffs. I don't think we'll see a return of Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, or Iron Fist. At least not for a couple of years. We're gonna, unless they do like some sort of another Defenders miniseries, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we'll see a Punisher spinoff film. We'll see a Daredevil film. There are rumors that Matt Murdock is going to be Peter Parker's lawyer. I don't want to give any spoilers to Spider-Man: Far From Home, but there's a circumstance in the film in which Peter might need a lawyer, and so there's rumors that Matt Murdock is going to be his lawyer in this upcoming film, and so we might get a Spider-Man Daredevil crossover. Now that's just a rumor, and you know how rumors are, but I really think that this is kind of a sea change, that they're going to say the Netflix universe, it was part of the MCU, but after the snap, it's a breakaway universe. It's probably going to exist in the same universe that the Loki series will exist in. So that's all time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, like this video, share it out, subscribe, ring that little bell so you get notifications. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at RealJacobAry. Instagram is the same, at RealJacobAry. Facebook is Author Jacob Airy. You can find my blog where I talk more about stuff like this. It's jacobairy.blog. Of course, buy my book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. That's The Seven Royals, All Good Things, which is your favorite fairy tale. So we've got Sleeping Beauty, The Brave Woodsman. They're led by another character named Prince Jasher, who the seven of them, they have to unite to save their land from an evil mage named Fabius Thorn, and he has sent his evil apprentice Omri on a murderous rampage to capture and or kill them. So definitely check that out. That's The Seven Royals, All Good Things. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week right here on StudioJake.